Podcast City Network.
You are listening to the Rip Griffin Show. Make sure to subscribe to the show on all the major podcast platforms. Here's your host, Rip Griffin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this All-Star edition of the Rip Griffin Show. That's right. The All-Star game just wrapped up just a few minutes ago, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be recapping the game and kind of, set the scene for the second half that's fixing to kick off on Thursday night as the teams get back into action. So just a quick recap of tonight's All-Star game. But before we get into tonight's show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know how the show is doing. If there's anything or something that you would like to hear, be sure to drop me a line. You can call into the show at 210-263-3253. Leave me your voicemails, and we'll get your questions and answer those on the air. So be sure to head on over and check all that stuff and all the podcasts. If you missed, head on over to theripgriffinshow.com. You can catch all the past podcasts. So with that out of the way, the Rip Griffin. Yeah, I wish I was there at the All-Star game. Yeah, Rip Griffin was there live. Nah, I wish I could have been, but it was a pretty action-packed game for the most part. It kind of went like I had thought it was going to be. Both teams were obviously, you've got all-stars, so they're both going to be pretty equally matched, both offense and defensively. And then, of course, you've got a lot of young guys that are making their first appearances. The young guys that are getting into their All-Star games. We had a lot of first tonight in the All-Star game. Most notably was the two-way phenom Shohei Ohtani, who started the game as your opening All-Star pitcher for the American League. Got a little tongue-tied there, couldn't get that out. But he was going up against Max Scherzer for the National League, who was making his sixth start in his it was his fourth All-Star game. He's the sixth to start. He joins a list of five others: Randy Johnson, Jim Palmer, Robin Roberts, Luis Gomez, and Don Drysdale as pitchers that have started at least four All-Star games, six All-Star games, excuse me. Yeah, it was a very fun game to watch. It kind of moved very fast paced. To start the All-Star game, they did do a great tribute to the late Hank Aaron. We all know that the All-Star game was originally supposed to be played in Atlanta, but of course there's other stipulations that the reason why it got moved to Colorado. But they still honored Hank Aaron, which was great to see and hear. I don't know if anybody caught a lot of the home run derby last night, but a lot of the players were wearing number 44 to honor Hank Aaron, which was great to see as well. Like I mentioned, Shohei Ohtani getting his first start, his first All-Star nomination start. He was phenomenal in his he only faced three batters, so he just went the one inning, but he was phenomenal. He hit triple digits, 100.2 against Fernando Tatis, which was very exciting to see, because we all were wondering what he was going to do, especially on the mound, if he would hit triple digits. One thing that kind of came to light, like I mentioned, there's a lot of things that were first tonight. Shohei became the only other Japanese-born player to start a pitcher-wise to start an All-Star game. The last to do that was Hideo Nomo back in 1995 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's one of the first, which was exciting for Shohei. And of course, he hit that 513-foot shot home run in the home run derby last night. And like I mentioned, he touched on 100.2. That was against Nolan Arenado, not Fernando Tatis. So, but, just to kind of quickly recap this game, we'll kind of touch in some other things, line scores, starting pitcher who won, MVP, all that good stuff. But, the American League got on the board early in the top of the second on a Marcus Semien infield single, which drove in Aaron Judge, put the AL up 1-0. And the top of the third, Vlad Guerrero Jr. homered to left a 468-foot shot that put the American League back up 2-0. And then in the top of the fifth, Vlad Jr. did it again. Had a ground out to second. Hernandez scored. Cedric Mullins went to second, so that put the AL up 3-0. In the top of the fifth, Xander Bogaerts singled to right. Cedric Mullins scored, which put the AL up 4-0. In the bottom of the fifth, the National League was able to finally get on the board on a JT Realmuto home run to right field, to right center, a 430-foot shot that put that kind of cut into that lead, that American League lead, 4-1. And then in the top of the sixth, Mike Zunino for the American League hit a home run to right field, 433 feet, which put the AL up 5-1. And then in the bottom of the sixth, the National League managed to get another run as Manny Machado scored on a pass ball by Mike Zunino, which put the NL down still 5-3, and that would be 5-2, but that would be the final score. So not much in the way of runs scored. I was hoping to see a little bit more offensive production. 3 total home runs from Vlad Jr., Realmuto, and Mike Zunino. So we had some long balls, not something I was hoping to see more, but it's the All-Star game. You get a lot of the top pitchers in both leagues going at it, so it makes it kind of hard to get a little bit more offensive production. But I mean, it looked like these guys were having fun. These guys were mic'd up throughout the game. There was actually one point during the game where both managers were talking back and forth, so that was kind of exciting to get their takes and have them kind of go back and forth and banter and kind of jib and jab and whatnot. But that was exciting. Kind of run down the pitcher list, like I mentioned, for the National League. Max Scherzer got the opening start. Corbin Burns went 2 innings. Herman Marquez went 1 inning. Trevor Rogers 1 inning. Taijuan Walker 1 inning. Frederick Peralta 1 inning. And then Mark Melancon came in for a third of an inning. Alex Reyes came in for 2/3 of an inning. Craig Kimbrell came in for 2/3, and Zach Wheeler for a third for the National League. The American League side, obviously, we all know that Shohei Ohtani started the game. He went 1 inning. Lance Lynn for the White Sox went 1 inning. Kyle Gibson for the Rangers went 1 inning. Nathan Eovaldi for the Red Sox went 1 inning. Gregory Soto for the Tigers, I believe, went 1 inning. Chris Bassett for the Athletics went 1 inning. Andrew Kittredge for the Tampa Bay Rays went 1 inning. Matt Barnes 1 inning, and Liam Hendricks went 1 inning. And to close out the game for the American League, it was a lot of exciting. The final line score for the American League was 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. The National League had 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. Your winning pitcher was Shohei Ohtani. Now, he was in line for the win pretty much for the get-go when the American League got on the board first. So it kind of just fell into his lap after that. And there was another first for Shohei Ohtani, because he is the only Japanese-born pitcher to earn a win. The only other one is Mashinaro Tanaka. And that was back in 2019 when he won the All-Star game. So another first for Shohei. So he was very, impressive just all around. And Corbin Burns got the loss, and Liam Hendricks got the save. So a Japanese-born player won was the winner, and an Australian-born pitcher got the save. So it's very, very world. It's global. So that's what baseball started to get into, which is great. So it's one of those things that Hendricks said in his post-game interview that this is, I'm kind of just paraphrasing, but it's starting to become a world game now, and that was exciting to see. Your MVP for tonight's All-Star game was none other than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. At 22 years, 119 days old, he is the youngest player to ever win the All-Star game. Not to mention, he hit the 200th home run in All-Star game history. He is the third father-son duo to ever hit a home run in an All-Star game. The first was Barry and Bobby Bonds, King Griffey Jr., Sr., and then Vlad Jr. and Vlad Guerrero Sr. So a lot of firsts there. That was pretty exciting to hear as well. But it was, like I mentioned, it was an all around. It was a good game. It was fought, and Some other firsts that I mentioned was Freddie Peralta for the Brewers was the first pitcher to strike out the side in an All-Star game, which was exciting to see. Mike Zunino joins Carl Crawford as the only Rays catcher to homer in a game. Carl Crawford back in 2007 was the other Ray to homer, and then both leagues had catchers homer in the All-Star game. In 1969, it was Johnny Bench, and Bill Freehan. 1997 was Javi Lopez and Sandy Alomar Jr. And 2021 was JT Realmuto and Mike Zunino. So no. To which was exciting to see. JT Realmuto was the first Phillies hitter to go deep in an All-Star game since Mike Schmidt did it in 1981. So a lot of firsts, a lot of exciting things that happened. Some father-son duos and whatnot. So it was exciting to watch the game. Great to see the All-Star game back. We haven't had that since 2019. Colorado, Denver did a phenomenal job in such short notice to put on such a spectacular event. Looks like everything went great, so it was exciting to see. So, but that's pretty much going to do it. The American League is your winner at 5-2. They have won 8 straight All-Star games, so the American League has definitely been the dominant league over the last 8 years. So, a lot of great things that came out of tonight's game. The guys will get a break, and then we'll be back to start the second half back on Thursday, which is July 15th. So the race for October is starting on Thursday night. So it's going to be exciting to see how the teams do. The trade deadline is coming up. We're going to see some teams make some trades. Some will be buyers, some will be sellers. It will be interesting to see which teams make certain moves to kind of solidify their rotations or their lineups to make that October push. So it'll be great. It'll be fun. It's a great second half. It's going to be busy, but we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna try to bring you as much content as we can. But that's gonna do it for this All-Star Game recap. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. The show is a part of the Podcast City Network, so be sure to check out all the amazing podcasts on there. And remember, if you ever have a question, baseball related, whatever it is, be sure to call in to the show. That number is 210-263-3253. And you can also follow the show on Twitter at Rick Griffin Show. That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Take care.